Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining Klipkop live, raw and uncut. Breaking news is that a fight broke out in the courts today with a case between Andile Ngitama and Afriforum. But here to tell us all about it is Conscious Caracal, who was in the court at the time. Welcome, Conscious Caracal.
Hallo Klipkop, ek gaan sommer eers in Afrikaans net vir almal hallo sê want ek weet dis soos 90% van jou gehoor, maar ook good evening to all the English listeners that are tuning in. So yeah, man, I think you said we're going to do this in English because there's some Sotis that want to be kept up to date with the breaking news going on here. So I think, well, man, if you can take it away. But firstly, before we get into that, I think you didn't mention it, but I'll mention it for you because you're too humble for that. That you are the first person to interview one of the guys on video live that was there in the courtroom beating Ronaldo Ghost to it, so you can give yourself a little hand there. But yeah, what are your questions, Klipkop? Well, how do you want to start this?
Okay, basically, like, just give us a rundown. Like, we know in the news reports, like, it's, there was a physical scuff in Parliament. How did things boil up to that point?
I wish it was in Parliament. But
not
maybe...
Parliament.
So what I think I'll do is, before I get to that juicy part, I'll give the context first for the people listening so they know what was going on. So Afriforum was in court today at the Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. I was there with Ernst van Zyl, of course. I don't think he needs any introduction. And Black First Land First was also there. And this was for a court case on Afriforum taking them to the BLF to the Magistrates Court for hate speech, for a video that I think your listeners know all too well, where Andile Ngitama of BLF said in a speech that for every black person killed by taxi violence, he's going to kill, or they're going to kill 5 white people. I don't think that needs any explanation. I think everyone knows about that. There is a video on my channel as well discussing it, so if you really are not clued up on that, you can go check that up. So Afriforum took them to the Magistrates Court, opened a case, and we were there now. This has actually been going on quite a while. This happened in 2018, and now we are in 2019 already, almost at the end of 2019, and now we're doing this case. It's been postponed many times because the first time we were there, BLF didn't have legal representation. I wonder why. But today they had a lawyer or an advocate, and we were there. We were represented by Mark Oppenheimer. I think that's a name that a lot of people might recognize, and also Daniel Elof of Politiek, my co-host. And so what we did there was basically we got there, and the first thing we did was we played the entire speech for context, the entire speech by Andile. And what was very funny was the fact that a large portion of the speech is, I think, in Setswana. So even us, up until this point, we didn't know what was being said there. And then BLF actually said that we need to translate that part for context. And then we did. They got a translator to translate that for them. And it completely backfired to them, in my opinion, from what I could see. Because in those Setswana pieces, the pieces that were translated, a lot more came to light that was very disturbing. Something I'll get to that later after this because it's a bit more lighthearted. But yeah, so then after we translated that entire speech, that took almost 3 hours because the guy that was translating it 1 sentence at a time, and the speech is like an hour long. So then after that, what we did was we played a 10-minute clip of him. We played a 10-minute clip of a farm murder survivor, Mariandra Hienis. I think everyone listening also knows about her. Very horrible, horrific story. She was telling her story on the video, so we played that as well. Because farm murders actually factor into this case. And then it was, after the break, it was Ernst van Zyl's turn to testify as an expert on farm murders, but also as an expert on hate speech. So he firstly went through the entire case, outlined why what Black First Land First said is a clear-cut case of hate speech. But also he went into a lot of quotes from his book, a lot of the stories about farm murders, a lot of stories about people that survive these types of attacks, specifically attacks where there were slogans painted on the walls or about, like, for example, Viva Julius and Viva EFF and Kill the Boer. And this has actually been documented in a myriad of cases. And then after that, the day was done. and it was supposed to go on tomorrow. But then what happened was we didn't have time to finish the testimony of Ernst Roots because of the long translation that happened in the morning. So we were going to continue tomorrow, but Ernst Roots is not available tomorrow. So the case has been postponed to somewhere in the near future. So we will keep you up to date when that happens. And yeah, so that's where we are standing now. We're going to see what happens. Do you have anything that you want to react to that first before we get into the scuffle story?
So it sounds to me that like the everything broke out like after the court proceeding was finished. Is that correct?
No, that happened if I remember correctly, that happened about halfway through when there was a break.
Halfway through when there was a break. Okay. Before we get to the actual scuffle, can you maybe tell me will the scuffle influence the outcome of the court case in any way?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a background in rechte, in law, so I can't really say specifically, but I can speculate, and I don't think so. I don't think it affects the case in any way. Okay, so maybe I should, if I tell the story, then it will make a lot more sense why I don't think it will matter.
Let's do it.
So, yeah. So what happened was at the beginning of the court case, they told us that we're not allowed to take pictures or video of what inside the courtroom. And because we have to go through an entire bureaucratic process to get that, very, very strange. But yeah. So then we said, okay, sure, we'll not take pictures, we won't take video. And then what happened was during this break, the BLF representatives that were there started harassing and very aggressively insulting Mark Oppenheimer of our legal team. They surrounded him and started like shouting him down, being very physical. And then Ernst Roots took out his phone just to take a picture, because he saw his friend, it appeared like his friend was going to be assaulted. So he's like, well, probably the responsible thing to do is to get a picture of what's happening to show the scene, because the judge wasn't there, or the magistrate wasn't there. So he took out his phone instinctively just to take a picture, and then one of the BLF people saw that he was taking a picture, so they all swarmed him, started swearing at him, telling him to go back to Holland, calling him all kinds of names, saying a lot of things that I can't even repeat on here if you don't want your channel banned. And yeah, really just throwing a lot of swear words at him. Luckily, we had one security guy, private security, there just for in case, and he was able to separate them. But yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So then what happened is News 24 reports on it, and they report it as if there was a fight that broke out between Afriforum, as they say, members, and BLF, which is not the case. It was pretty much BLF surrounding Ernst Roots, grabbing the phone out of his hands, demanding that he delete the photo. And yeah, luckily the security that we had there was able to get the phone back before they destroyed it or whatever. Oh, you can see the lightning here in Pretoria in the background. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And so in the end, Ernst did agree to delete the photograph. And it's really not that big of a deal. But BLF seemed to have used it as an opportunity just to cause some havoc and some chaos. It was really entertaining for me personally, just seeing Ernst Roots stay perfectly calm, actually smiling and laughing at what was happening in front of him, with these people hurling absolute horrendous insults at him and also at Mark Oppenheimer and at Mr. Daniel Elof. It was really a sight to behold.
Well, from listening to you now, I made the mistake earlier of saying it happened in Parliament and not in court. But it sounds very stereotypical of what happens in Parliament these days. And I'm glad
it makes sense that you would make that mistake.
And I'm glad that that Ernst Roots kept his cool and everything. Tell me, do you guys have what is the bigger idea with this whole court case? Like, why take him to court in the first place? Doesn't he have normal freedom of speech?
Well, in this case, I think this is the big debate around freedom of speech in South Africa. And I always say there's a very clear line, and it's even in the Constitution, it's lined out, that freedom of speech stops when it comes to incitement of violence. And even such a thing as hate speech hate speech is not just something that offends people. As I understand the Constitution, hate speech has an inherent element of a threat or a threat of violence or imminent harm to someone else. And this is what we clearly see, and this is what Ernst van Zyl laid out in this case when he was testifying, is that this is a very clear case of someone, and I think you pretty much agree. I don't think we're going to debate about it. When you're saying the things that Mr. Andile was saying about killing people based on their race specifically, people that are innocent, people that they're saying it's for self-defense. But it's not self-defense, according to me, if you're killing people that aren't involved in your assault or your attack. You're just saying because, according to his conspiracy theory, Anton Rupert's going to send kill taxi drivers or whatever. Now you're saying that in response, we will kill white people, as if white people are this group that are just conspiring together, as if you and me were sitting around the table a week ago conspiring, like, how are we gonna be racists this week? And I think that's the crux of it all, is that it can't be self-defense if your self-defense is directed at innocent people that aren't involved in doing any harm to you. And I think that's where freedom of speech ends, is specifically at that incitement to violence that I think this clearly is.
Well, it is clear that Andile and his whole crew is a little bit unstable, and I think their actions in court has sort of proven that. Now, I promised you we are going to be very quick. You guys can catch Adam's Roots. He's going to speak about the same thing, probably in a bit more detail on Ronaldo Gouws' channel at 8:30. Then Jeremy Nell is also streaming with Dan Root currently. I'm going to pop in there. But just in closing, like, why didn't nobody hit back, Like, why aren't you full of bruises? You should have fought.
Because like I said today to Ernst, why don't you, when you're jogging in the street and a little chihuahua or a little like Jack Russell runs up to you and it's barking at you, you're not going to kick that dog. You're just going to stand your ground and you're going to laugh at it. And then it's going to run away with its tail between its legs. And just on a personal note, that's kind of what happens with me in real life as well. If someone is making a huge noise and someone is just barking, I'm not intimidated. The guy that intimidates me is the guy sitting in the corner that's being quiet, that's not saying anything, that's just cool, calm, and collected with ice in his veins. That's the type of guy that intimidates me. Not the guy that's jumping around, throwing a tantrum and screaming and talking about how much of a tough guy he is and how he's going to mess me up. That's not intimidating. That's just hilarious. That's something that I laugh at. And I think just a little story that I wanted to tell earlier, but on a lighter note. So one of the segments in Mr. Andile's speech that was translated that we weren't aware of is he actually tells his little origin story, where he comes from, how he became the man that he is today. And I found it really funny. So according to as I remember it, he tells the story of him being in high school and meeting this very wise old man in their community, and this guy gave him some books to read on like black consciousness and whatever, and he said, okay, you have a week to go read them. And Andile goes and he reads them, and he comes back to this Mr. Miyagi figure in his life, and the guy tells him, no, now you have to give me a little summary of every book. And he does his little summary, and he's like, no, you don't understand it, go read it again. And he does this constantly. He goes back, gives him a summary. The master is not happy. And then he goes and he really seriously reads these books with like a dictionary to make sure he understands every word. And he goes back to his master, and this guy tells him, okay, now you understand. I can see you're a very smart man, Mr. Andile. So to have this guy in your story tell you you're a very smart, I found very, very funny. So then he says, okay, now that you understand it, we're going to go to this mountain. And him and Andile go to this mystic mountain, it seems. And they go there and they meet this guy that Andile in his own story says is very buff and very strong, looks like a bodybuilder, which I found very strange that he mentioned that fact. But this guy told him about black liberation or whatever, was supposedly this very like prominent anti-apartheid rebel that was locked up and, as in Andile's own words, kept the white guys on their toes or whatever. And as he's telling this story, I just find it very funny that it sounds like almost like a biblical story. It sounds like this quest that he went on, this struggle that he fought, and it made him the man that he is today. And I just found it very funny that Andile of Black Land First has his own little origin story of where he came from. He's probably going to include in his biography if he ever writes one.
I would really, really love to actually read what Andile said. You said you suspect it's Twan, or what exactly he said when he went on that racist rant of his. And it would be awesome if you guys could publish that. I'm not sure if you are allowed to now, but most probably after the court proceedings. Is there?
We will try. There's definitely an interest. I think it's people need to get the full context. As I said, there was actually BLF that asked for the translation, and according to me, it blew up in their faces. But I will definitely try to get it. At this moment, I don't think it's possible, but I will definitely, because there's a lot of disturbing things coming out there, and I don't want to try and paraphrase or go through my own memory to name it and then actually tell something that I don't remember correctly. So I'd rather want to provide people with the real transcript.
Yeah, we are 15 minutes in. I don't want to waste your time or the other streamers' time. Is there anything you would like to say in closing, or maybe take a question? Otherwise, we can shut it down right here.
Well, if there are any questions come in the chat, I'll answer them. I'll just give you some final thoughts while we wait if there are any questions. Today was very entertaining for me. It's my job now, so welcome, step into my office. This is pretty much what I'm used to now. And major respect to Mr. Roots. I don't think I would have been as calm as he was in the face of being so disrespected and people just really hurling those heinous insults at you. I mean, that was really I don't know how that man does it. He's a bit weird in that regard. But yeah, I think today was a very successful day. And Afriforum will continue with cases like this. And also, for example, if just the message to you, and I know there are Afriforum members listening, or people that support us. For example, with the Godric Gardy thing, we only became aware of his tweet through members sending that tweet to us and saying, "Hey, look at this! Like, look what this high-profile guy is saying." So my message would just be to people that support us, people that are Afriforum members that pretty much make it possible what we do. Thank you for the feedback that you give us. Thank you for the information that you send us. It really helps out a lot. It makes a lot of the cases possible that you might not even think. And if you're not a member of Afriforum yet, maybe consider becoming a member. It's always nice getting more people on board. We're already the biggest civil rights organization in Africa with 234,000 members. But there's always room for more. And I'm really enjoying my role at Afriforum. I really like being part of actually doing something in real life and not just posting on Twitter, but really making a difference from my perspective.
Well, I am one of those members. We have one question from Captain Kunain. Now, Captain Kunain asks, he's referring to that one time that Lindy Maasdorp approached Scully Creel in front of court in the hit and run case. How does that compare to what happened in court today?
Well, my memory is a bit fuzzy on that first one. That was a while back with Kali Kriel. Lindsay was not there today. I don't know where he was. Probably doing something important, I reckon. But yeah, today's altercation, I don't think was at that level. Luckily, the security was able to separate BLF from Ernst before they did something stupid or reckless. They looked like they were about to do something very stupid. And yeah, so there wasn't any tugging of collars or pushing anyone, but they were pretty much right in their face and telling him all types of terrible things. And I just saw here in the chat, J Villy series says, "I support Afriforum, but can't be afford to be a member, but I would like to be." No, but thank you for your support, my man. I understand that it's hard times. It's not everyone has the luxury of being able to support causes with their hard-earned cash. I know a lot of people are feeling the crunch. So it's really not something to feel bad about. Your support alone is already something big. Thank you if you just see someone bad-mouthing Afriforum on social media, defending us on social media is already a very big step in the right direction. So don't feel bad that you don't have the funds at the moment to support us financially. Even just your support on social media already goes a long way. You believe me.
But I think that wraps it up. Well, it doesn't really wrap it up. I can sit and talk here for hours. But Ernst Roots is going to be on Ronaldo's channel in 10 minutes. So I'm going to say thank you very much for coming onto my channel and having your voice heard. Like, the channel is always open to you. If you ever want to get a message out there, just you have my WhatsApp number. So
No, thank you for having me on Klipkop. It's always nice, maar ons moet een of ander tyd 'n Afrikaanse stream hê. Soos regtig ek praat te veel Engels as ek nou moet media brief oor soos wat aangaan. Ek sal 'n lekker Afrikaanse chat nogal waardeer in die toekoms. En dan sommer net om vir die ek dink meeste mense weet al, maar ek het ook nou 'n nuwe politieke kanaal op YouTube gelaunch in alle erns waar ek vir soos 10 tot vir tussen 6 en 10 minute op die oomblik net 6 minute klips waar ek allerhande net interessante konsepte in politiek verduidelik vir mense wat miskien nie die tyd het om nou soos ek bedoel as jy nou 'n hardwerkende ou is of 'n student of wat ook al het jy nie miskien die tyd om nou te gaan oplees oor hierdie goed nie. Maar dit is iets wat vir my baie interesseer. Ek het al baie leeswerk hieroor gedoen, so dit is vir my 'n plesier om dan net bietjie baie interessante feite en goeders net lekker te kondens in so 6 minute en soos my nuutste video gaan oor wat is die verskil tussen links en regs. Ek dink dis iets wat mense baie interessant vind. So jy kan gaan search op YouTube in alle erns. Daai erns is gespel soos my naam ERNST. So gaan subscribe daar as dit vir jou interessant klink. Maar ek dink almal weet al van my Twitter en my YouTube, my oorspronklike YouTube kanaal waar ek nog video's op gaan maak is die afgelope tyd net baie besig, maar definitief kan jy ook daar gaan subscribe as jy nog nie is nie. Maar gaan kyk gaan check bietjie daai in alle erns kanaal van my uit. Ek dink jy kan dit nog interessant vind. Maar ja, baie dankie dat jy my opgehaal het Klipkop en definitief in die toekoms moet ons 'n bietjie van 'n Afrikaanse gesels hê. Ek sal dit baie geniet.
Ek het daai potgoeie van jou al 3 deurgeluister en as ek die mense kan sê wat om te luister, sy analise van die sosiale media sfeer, ek is nog nie seker wat daai video se naam is nie.
Wat is al die video se titel is wat is alternatiewe media?
Daai een is my gunsteling en ek dink julle sal hom ook die meeste geniet. So gaan check daai asseblief uit. Ons moet definitief iets in Afrikaans doen. Ek voel net baie gemakliker om mense vrae te vra en te gesels in Afrikaans. Maar baie dankie dat jy ingeloer het, volhard en hou koers.
Hoi, baie dankie. Totsiens Klipkop.
Cheers bro. Hoor se ouens, baie dankie dat julle ingeskakel het. Ek gaan nou oorgooi na Ronaldo se kanaal toe. Dit is nog net 9 minute. Dan is dit daarso. Daar het ander nuus gebeur. Ek mis nie 'n ding nie. Gauteng is building a wall. Richard Branson Center for Entrepreneurship is racist. Daar's nog magagas in Hong Kong en daar's tornado's in KZN. So mense, daar gaan nog 'n feature-packed show wees. Een van die dae. So moenie worry nie, daai gaan kom. Dankie DCS Beamer vir daai R14 donasie en dan sien ek julle volgende keer. Totsiens ons.